Good day. My name is Imelda Williams. With this presentation, I'm going to give you an introduction to the iSAP case. This iSAP case involves the ankle, and it's an ankle injury with a vague mechanism of injury. Monash University recognizes that its Australian campuses are located on the unceded lands of the people of the Kulin Nations and pays its respects to their elders past and present. Now, iSAP stands for Integrating Science and Practice. The weighting for the iSAP case is 30%. You can see that there is no hurdle attached to this. However, it's quite a big weighting, so you still need to ensure that you do your very best with this assessment. The overall word count is 20%, and there's a leeway of 10%, so 10% less or 10% more. The iSAP case has got two parts to it. So the first part is a clinical action plan, and that's the majority of the work that you'll be doing. And that one is 1,500 words. And then there's a comparative report, which is 500 words. You will find all of the information for the iSAP case in a Moodle book, which is under week 2. And in this Moodle book, there will be the learning outcomes, there will be the scenario that will be put forward to you, and then the professional issues that you need to address. We provide some starter resources. However, we expect you to do your own research as well, and that you can use either Harvard or Vancouver referencing style when you write this up, but you can't use both in one assignment. So this is what the Moodle book looks like. This shows the learning outcomes, but then under the Dropbox, you can see there's 3 parts in terms of the case scenario, the professional issues that you need to address, and then also the resources that's available. There's also a marking rubric, and then the student cap, where you can submit, but I would advise you to rather use the submission Dropbox under the assessment taskbar. And once you've done that, you'll be able to get access to the expert's response and then also your comparative report as well. So this is what the rubric looks like. So both the clinical action plan and the comparative report is in the same rubric. Really important that you look at these headings. So it's the first part is the attention to the professional issues that you've given. Have you provided a very strong discussion with the issues? And then also apply that action plan, and whatever you've applied, will it actually produce the correct results or appropriate results? And then your resources, have you utilized more resources? Have you written it up properly, accurately? And then also, have you used resources that are quite relevant to this case? And then the comparative report. So basically, you compare and contrast your clinical action plan to the expert report that becomes available. So what links are you making between the two? Is it your comparison? Will it be a case of you looking very carefully and critically to your strengths, but also areas that you can improve on? And then also, what learning outcomes can you pick up from the iSAP case yourself? And then also, how are you going to apply it to your clinical practice? You do not need to have references for the comparative report, but if you want to stress a point, you can always include references as well. So the deadline for the clinical action plan is on Friday, the 11th of April, and the Dropbox, there's an integrated Dropbox within the Moodle book, but as I said, much more easier to just submit via the assessment taskbar. And remember that you won't have access to the expert report if you've not submitted your CAP report, and then, of course, only after the deadline has been reached. So it will only become available on the 12th of April. Now, please note that the deadline for the comparative report is a week later, but on Thursday, the 17th of April, because that Friday will be Easter Friday. It's a public holiday. And this is what it looks like on the assessment taskbar. So you can see there's the drop box for the CAP report, the drop box for the CR report, and you can note that you can only submit your drop box after the 11th of April, so you can't submit it if you haven't submitted your CAP report, and then also the expert report, which will only become available from the 12th of April. So then with the comparative report, so please note that the expert report is quite comprehensive. So it will be more than the word count, but it is there so that it gives you a very broad feedback or report on the whole case itself. So it's not subjected to a word count. So you need to really reflect and compare your CAP to that of the expert report, and then address the following things. So you need to compare similarities, any differences, and then what learning outcomes you have obtained through this iSAP case, and then also the impact of knowledge on the context of your professional practice. So not everybody is a radiographer. So you need to think about if you, for example, if you're paramedic or if you are physiotherapy, how can you apply this to your practice? So then in conclusion, remember you will find the iSAP book under week 2. And then also that you need to apply your clinical professional knowledge, but also radiographic knowledge, because this is very much linked to x-rays and radiographers as well. And then also remember you need to provide additional references. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact either myself or Tony. Thank you.